Hello and welcome to another exciting one. It's my friend here, and today we are going to learn how to model this cool bottle cap from scratch. We are going to UV unwrap it, add some materials, and then give it a nice final composition render at the end. So let's go. So as usual, let's go to general and then let's start from scratch. Okay, so we have our cube and then our light. So let me select both of them and then hit X for delete and then hit on the delete key to delete it, right? So next let's add in a cylinder or just a circle object. So now let's do Shift A, go to our mesh and then add in a cylinder, right? Let's tab here to see our properties here. So let's make sure the vertices is set to 32. That's fine. And then let's decrease the depth a bit to something like around here, and then that's it. So let's jump into edit mode by hitting on tab, and then let's do Ctrl R to add a loop cut in the middle. Let's scroll it on the x-axis to somewhere here. It's fine. So next, what we are going to do is let's make sure we have our edge select mode active, and then first let's delete the bottom face. So let's go to our face select mode, select this face and then hit X, and then we delete the face so that we have this hollow part of our bottle cap. Next, let's go back to our edit mode, make sure we have our point select mode active, and then let's tab on the X-ray mode, and then let's go to our front view like this, and then let's click and drag to select all these edges at the middle like that. And then let's go jump out of X-ray mode once again. With all these edges selected, what we want is to select each other edge. So we want this edge to be deselected, this one selected, this to deselect, and then so all around, right? So the easiest and quickest way to do that is to go to our select, and then we do checker deselect, right? So now as you can see, we have every other edge selected, but not all of them, all the way around, right? So next, let's add in our let's bevel this edge. So we do Ctrl B, and then we scroll to add in a bevel. Let's scroll our mouse wheel up so that we have two segments of bevel here like this, so that we have something like this, right? So next, what we have to do is to select, you see we have two triangles here, you have one here and then one here, right? So let's select this middle edge here and then dissolve it. Okay, so we are going to select for all of them, right? So let's select the first one and then go to our selects once again, and then from here we go to select similar, then we are going to select those with similar length, right? So let's click on it, and then as you can see, all these are selected, but we want only this one. So if we come down here, we can see the threshold here. So let's decrease the threshold until it is selecting only the one in the middle, right? So let's decrease our threshold. So right, so something like 0.1 is fine. So now we have only these ones in the middle selected. So let's hit on X, and then we go to our dissolve edges to dissolve all those selected edges, right? Like this. Perfect. So next, let's select all these edges once again. So this edge, this edge, this edge, all around, right? So let's select the first one, go back to our select, and then we go to select similar by face angle. Let's go back, select similar by face angle, right? So select, and then we go to select, then you go to select similar by face angle, and then all of these will be selected for you, right? So next we do Shift plus S. We do S for scale, and then we scale it out to somewhere here, right? That's nice. So last selection, let's select these two faces all around, and then add in a little bit of insertion. So select this face, and then hold Shift, and then select this face, these two faces. Then let's go to our select once again, and then we go to our select similar, and then we go to area, so that it selects all these faces with similar area all around, right? So we do I to insert, and then we hit on B so that we untake boundaries like this. So you see boundaries and then no boundaries. So this is something that we want. Okay, so now we can do S, and then we can scale it inside like this a bit. Okay, so now if we tap out of edit mode, and then we add in our subdivision surface. So let me go here, and then I'll select my subdivision surface. You see we have something like this. Okay, so let's go back into edit mode. Let's hide our subdivision for a second, and then we can do I to insert to right about here. Let's do I again, and then add in another insertion to somewhere here. And then now let me just go to my edge select, hold Alt, and then click to select this entire edge, and then let's add in a bevel. So we do Control plus P to add in a bevel like this, right? So now if we jump into add object mode once again, and then with our subdivision surface applied, let me increase the level to 2. We have something nice like this. So let me right click and then shade it smooth, right? So basically our bottle cap is done. It's basically done, right? If this is way higher, we can just select everything and then do S, do G, and then Z to bring it down like this. Okay, so let me go into edit mode again, and then our bottle cap is done. Next, what we want to do is add in some thickness. So we go to our solidify, and then add in a solidify modifier, change the stack like this, and then maybe increase the thickness a bit to somewhere here, right? So basically our bottle is done. Right, to add in an extra details inside of the bottle, inside of the bottle cap, let's apply our solidify modifier. So I'll go here, and then I'll hit on apply. So I'll apply our solidify modifier. So let me tab into edit mode once again, and then I'm going to select all these faces which are inside. So I'll hit on C, then make sure I have my face select mode active, and then hit on C, and then I can paint all over the faces I want to select like this, right? So there are a few ways we can do this. Let me select, then I'll right click, then hit on X to delete the faces. So we are going to fill it in with our own faces. So let's go to our edge select mode, and then hold Alt and then click to select this entire edge right here. So what we're going to do is add in couple of extrusions and then fill up this gap here, right? So let's do E and then Z to extrude it up a bit on the Z axis like this. And let's do E once again, and then S to bring it down to somewhere here. Okay, and then we can add in a couple of extrusions once again. So let's do E, S, and then bring it, E, and then G, then bring it up on the Z axis like this. And then we can do E, S, and then extrude it, E, Z, bring it down, then E, S to extrude, and then we can bring it up, and then ES to extrude, and then we do F to fill it in, right? So if I jump out of edit mode, we have this nice and cool detail running in for us. So next, what we are going to do is to add in our materials for the bottle cap. So we're going to do the UV unwrapping and then add in a couple of materials, and then we create our scene and then render. So to do that, I'm going to bring this window up here, somewhere here, and then let's change this to the shader editor. Okay, then let's bring this window up. Let's just bring our mouse here, then drag to create another window. So this will be the window for our camera. So let me hit on the camera view. Let me just scroll it up like this, and then I'll go to my view, and then camera. I'll lock the camera to view, right? So now I'll be able to move my objects in the 3D camera without going back into the camera. Yeah, so now let's add in our materials, right? So we're going to give it 3 materials. This side here is going to be a silver like material. This side here is going to be where we put in our label or whatever we want to add. Then we have a rubber like material in the middle. Okay, so first let's just do new and then add in a material. Let's make it into any color. We're going to change the color later on, right? So now if I go to my look dev mode, I have this material here. Let's make it metallic, right? So increase the metallic to 100%, and let's decrease the roughness down a bit to something like this. Okay, so next let's jump into our edit mode, and then let's create some seams here that we are going to use to unwrap our bottle cap. So I'll hit on Alt, click on Alt, and then select this entire shape here, and then I'll do right click, and then I'll go to mark seam here, right? And then I'll do the same for this side. So I'll select, I'll hold Alt click to make sure I have this entire loop selected, right click, and then I'll go to mark seam. All right, so that is it. So now if you come up here and go to our UV editing tab, right, and I select everything, then right click, I'll hit on U and then go to unwrap. You see we have all the 3 sections unwrapped for us. So we have the top side. So now if I hit on 3 to go to my face select mode, you have the top side. If I hit on L, you have the top side. We can select L to select this entire side, and then L to select this side as well. Okay, so now let's come to this materials properties here, and then add in a couple of sockets for our extra materials. So I'll add in 1 and then 2. So the first one, let's just hit on new to create a new material, and then let's make it metallic. Let's just leave the base color to white. This color is fine. We can bring it down a bit, and then we decrease our roughness down a bit like this, right? So with this side selected and this material active, we're just going to hit on assign to assign this side to that material. So let me go to my look dev mode so that you can see. So let me jump out of edit mode, so you can now see that we have this side giving this metallic material, and then this side have a different material, right? So let's go to this material once again, and then hit on new to create a new material for this socket, and then let's make the base color white. That's fine. And then let's decrease the roughness a bit. Then let's add in a few transmission like this, right? So let's jump into edit mode, select this single ring, and then hit on L to select the entire ring here. And then let's come to our material like this, and then hit assign to assign this entire ring to a new material, right? So our unwrapping is done. So if I go back to, we can just view it in our rendered view. So let me change the render engine to cycles, and then can change it to GPU compute. Then let's just hit on render. So as you can see, we don't have a light in our scene. So let's just go back into our layers tab. We'll go here and then change from object to world. Select our background and then do Ctrl+T to add in our environment texture. So I'll hit on new, I'll hit on open, and then I'll locate my HDRI and then add it to the scene, right? So as you can see, if I turn or still, let's just select and then R to rotate. So if I rotate, you can see each side has a different material applied to it. Nice and beautiful. So now if you want to add in our label to the back, let's just go to our, so make sure we have it selected and then change it to the object. And let's go to our materials tab. Make sure we have this principled, the first material we created, active. Ctrl+T to add in an image texture, which is mapped to the UV. Then we hit on open, and then we locate where we saved our image texture, right, that we want to add. So I'll go to my friend. Mine is set to somewhere to here. So I've added in my 3D texture to it. So I'll add it to the description below in case you want to download and follow along. So now if we go to our UV editing and then make sure we have this selected, hit on L to select everything, select it here, you can just hit on S to scale it, and then G to position it right somewhere here. So you can see, so it looks like the image is looking upside down. So what we can do is we can go to our image, invert image, and then we can flip it horizontally, right? So we go to image and then we hit on save to save the image, and then our image will be updated here. Yeah, so our image will be updated here, right? So as you can see, nice and simple. So you can always come back, select, and then just select everything, and then just position it how you want it to be, right? So once you are done with it, let's go back to our layout view. Yeah, so this is what we have. We have our 3D cup with 3 materials, as you can see. So next, to take scenes to the next level, let's just create a simple scene with a bunch of bottle caps lying on the floor, right? So to do that, I'll come down here, bring it down, and then change this view to our timeline once again, since we are going to create some rigid bodies, simulations and stuff. So we'll do Shift+A, and then let's add in a plane. Let's scale it up like this. Let's bring our, so let's change this view to look there for now. Let's do Control S and then save our cap file here, just in case Blender crashes, we'll be able to have a backup. So now let's make sure we have this selected, hit on N, and then let's just change all the rotations to 0. Like this, right? So let's do S to G to bring it up, and then S to scale it down very small like this. S, then let's scale it down so we have a very small thing like this. So we'll bring our view later on. So we have a very small object like this, right? So we can hide our camera for a minute, and then we can hit on Ctrl+A, and then we can apply our scale, right? So next, let's add in a bunch of arrays, and then we can create our simulations. So let's go to our modifiers tab, modifier, and then let's add in an array modifier, right? So let's just increase the X a bit, and then we can just add in a couple of counts. So 5 is fine. Then let's add in another one on top. So add modifier and then array modifier, but now we're going to increase it on the z-axis. So X factor will be 0, and then z-axis will be 1.1, 1.2, right? Something like this. And then we can increase the count to something like this. Okay, so I think we have enough, and you can increase the count as much as you want, only if your machine can handle it. So I think we have enough. So next, what we have to do is just hit on apply to apply all our array modifiers. It's going to take some time. My machine is struggling, as you can see. I just give it, so all of our arrays are applied, right? So if you jump into edit mode, all of these are considered as just a single cylinder, right? But we have to separate each of them into individual parts. Okay, so let's do A to select everything, and then let's hit on P, and then we go to separate by loose parts. So let's click on it and then wait for Blender to do its magic. So now all these individual parts are now separated into single individual objects. So if we look into our panel here, you can see we have a lot of objects. We have like 83 different objects. So let me jump out of edit mode, and then just to save our machine a lot of processing power, let's link all of these objects with the similar object data, since all of them are the same, right? So that Blender does not recalculate every object every single time when we do our rigid body simulations. So right, so let's just select everything, make sure everything is selected, and now all of these have their origin points here. So if you can see, anyone I select still has its origin point here. So let's just reset all the origin points. So let me select everything, and then let's go to object and then set origin, and then we can go origin to geometry, right? So now, as you can see, each has their origin point set to their particular geometry, right? So let me just select everything once again, hit on M, and then we just create a new collection, and then let's label it cap, and let's hit OK, so that we can group all of them into a single collection, right? So now we are going to link all of these to a single object, so that they share, all of them share a single object property, right? So let me select all of them once again, and then just make sure one of the object is active. So in this case, this one is active, right? It doesn't really matter which of them, but just make sure one of them is active. And then let's go to our objects, and then we can go to link data, right? Then we go to link object data, right? So now all of these objects share the same data. So now if I edit one object, all of them will be edited at the same time. So let me select this object here, hit tab, and then let me just select this face, and then let's do G, and then let me just try and move it around. As you can see, all of them are being moved around at the same time because all of them share the same object data, right? So now what's left for us is to just add in our simulation, then we can go, right? So let's just jump out of edit mode, select all of these objects once again, and then let's go to our object, rigid body, and then let's hit on add active to add active rigid body to all of them, right? So now if I go to my simulation, each of them have active rigid body applied to it. So let me select our plane here, and let's add in a passive rigid body, right? So now if we hit play, we can see we have our simulation, nice and simple. So let me go back, now let's try and make our simulation as interesting as possible, right? So I can select these ones here, and then hit on G, and then bring it up to somewhere here. Can rotate it on the other side, right? Just to add in some interest. Okay, so now let's just hit on play once again. Yeah, we have a nice simulation once again. So let me go back, and then we can do Shift D to add in a duplicate in case we want more simulation, right? So let's just hit on play, and then we see what we have. Okay, so now let's add in some cubes here and there just to constrain our simulation a bit. So we can scale it here so that they serve as walls for us to constrain our simulation. So let me add in an extra one here. So let me select both of them, go to objects, rigid body, and then we add a passive rigid body, right? So now if we hit on play, you can see our simulation is constrained to one side like this. So that's what we want. So with our cubes in place, and just come here, locate our cubes, and then just hide them from view, and then hide them from view so that we have something like this anytime we hit on our render, right? So now let's do our setup of our composition, which is simple. So I will drag to bring in an extra window once again, hit on my camera to bring my camera in position like this. Now I'll go to my view, lock camera to view, and then I'll hide my view with N, and then hit on T to hide this one, uncheck this, then uncheck this so that we see only the camera here, right? So I can position my camera as I want in my scene. Can zoom in just to position my camera as I want here. So now let's select here so that we have our render. So I'll hit here, and then our render. As you can see, my Blender is struggling to render because we have many files in our scene, so not responding, but I pray it responds soon. So so now what we can do is just hit Ctrl+S just to save our scene once again, and then this is what we have. So anytime you can just zoom in, position it in place as to anyhow you want, right? If the density of your caps is small, you can always go back and then maybe select a couple of them once again, then do Shift+D. Just bear it in mind, anytime you do this, it adds an extra load to your computer. So duplicate, and then maybe I rotate it once again just to add in an extra dynamism, and then let's hit play once again to add in our simulation. So you can play around with how you arrange your objects just to create more exciting, interesting simulations here and there, so that it's not boring. So let me just hit play. I think I like this. I like this more, right? You just allow your simulation to play. Then you can hit on pause. So you can hit on pause when you find somewhere you really like. So I think I really like this scene here, right? So next, to even add in more interest, let's just do Shift A and then go to our empty, and then let's add in a plane axis, right? So now let's do G, and then let's move the plane axis to somewhere here. Let me just bring this so that I know where my plane axis is. So I can do G, and I can position it to somewhere here on this object, right? Right on this object. And then we make sure we have our camera selected, go to our camera, and then add in a depth of field, right? So the focus object, let's just search for our empty we added, so this empty here, then we can select it, right? So we can decrease the f-stop to exaggerate our camera depth of field even more, like this, right? And let me select my, make sure it's right on the object, so that we have this cool, nice scene here. So next, I think we are basically done with our scene. That's what we need to do is just to render. So make sure we have our render max sample set to something very reasonable. So I'm going to go with 100 just for this one. You can set it as much as you want based on your PC's performance, and then maybe change the color. You can experiment with this. You can go with high contrast and medium contrast. Just experiment and see what works best for you. You can play around with the lighting, change the hue. Let me go to my shader, change it to world, maybe change the HDRI, maybe add in a new one, change different, experiment with different HDRIs to see what you get. So you can just play around, add extra lights and all that. Yeah, so thank you very much for watching. I know it's been a very long one as usual. If you like, please just leave a like or subscribe and share. See you on the next one. So let's go to our image and then render. But before we do that, let's do Ctrl+S to save our file, render, and then we do render image, and then our final scene will be rendered. Alright guys, so this is my final rendered scene. Hope you like it. See you on the next one. Peace out.